The rain pounded against the windows of Sunflower Cafe as Sophia wiped down the counter for the third time that hour. The evening rush had dwindled to nothing as the storm intensified, leaving only the rhythmic drumming of raindrops to keep her company. "Should head home early," Sophia said her manager, Thomas. "We're dead tonight anyway." Sophia glanced at her watch and shook her head. "I need the hours, you know that. Mom's medication isn't going to pay for itself." Sophia had put her dreams of becoming a teacher on hold. Her mother's lupus diagnosis had changed everything, transforming Sophia from a college student to the family's sole provider overnight. As she began restocking the napkin dispensers, Sophia noticed an elderly woman standing at the bus stop across the street. The woman clutched several shopping bags, her thin frame battered by the wind and rain as she struggled to maintain her balance. "I'll be right back," Sophia called to Thomas, grabbing her umbrella and rushing out the door before he could respond. The rain soaked through her sneakers as she crossed the street. "Excuse me," Sophia called over the storm. "The next bus isn't for another hour. May I help you get somewhere?" The woman looked up, revealing a weathered face framed by silver hair. Despite her drenched appearance, there was a dignity in her posture that commanded respect. "Oh dear, an hour. That won't do at all," the woman replied, her voice surprisingly strong. "I'd be happy to walk you home if you live nearby," Sophia offered. "Or we could call a taxi." "Kind you are," the woman said, studying Sophia's face. "I live just a few blocks away. A walk would be lovely, but I couldn't impose." "It's no imposition," Sophia insisted, taking two of the heaviest bags. "I'm Sophia, by the way." "You can call me Eleanor," the woman replied with a smile that transformed her face as they walked through the rain-slicked streets. Eleanor asked about Sophia's life. Unlike most people who offered perfunctory interest, Eleanor listened intently, asking thoughtful questions about Sophia's mother, her deferred dreams, and her hopes for the future. When they reached a modest brownstone, Sophia was surprised. She'd expected something grander based on Eleanor's refined speech and mannerisms. "Would you like to come in for tea?" Eleanor asked. "I should get back to work, but thank you," Sophia replied, handing over the shopping bags. "It was nice meeting you, Eleanor." "The pleasure was mine, dear," Eleanor said, pressing a business card into Sophia's palm. "If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to call." Sophia tucked the card into her pocket without looking at it and headed back to the cafe, unaware that this simple act of kindness had just changed the course of her life. 3 days later, Sophia received a call from a woman identifying herself as Mrs. Eleanor Harrington's assistant. The name meant nothing to Sophia until the assistant explained, "The elderly lady you helped during the rainstorm." "Is she all right?" Sophia asked, immediately concerned. "Mrs. Harrington is perfectly fine," the assistant assured her. "She would like to invite you to her home for tea tomorrow afternoon, as a thank you for your kindness." Sophia hesitated. "That's really not necessary. I was just being decent," Mrs. Harrington insists. "A car will collect you at 2 o'clock if that's convenient." Reluctantly, Sophia agreed, providing her address and wondering why the elderly woman was making such a fuss over a simple gesture. The following day, Sophia found herself not at the modest brownstone where she'd left Eleanor, but standing before massive iron gates that opened onto a sweeping driveway. The car that had collected her, sleek black sedan with tinted windows, pulled up to a mansion that looked like it belonged in a period film. "There must be some mistake," Sophia murmured as the driver opened her door. "No mistake, miss. This is the Harrington estate." A butler greeted Sophia at the entrance, leading her through corridors adorned with artwork that belonged in museums. Eventually, they reached a sunlit conservatory where Eleanor sat at a small table, looking remarkably different in a tailored suit with her silver hair elegantly styled. "Sophia, my dear." "How wonderful to see you again," Eleanor called, gesturing for her to join Mrs. Harrington. "I had no idea, ... As Sophia began, feeling woefully underdressed in her simple blouse and jeans. "Please, it's still Eleanor to you," the woman insisted. "Why would you have known?" "I value my privacy and find that people treat me quite differently when they know my ... circumstances." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a man who appeared to be in his early 30s. Tall, with dark hair and striking blue eyes, he carried himself with the confidence of someone who had never known want. "Grandmother, the foundation board needs your decision on thee," He stopped abruptly upon seeing Sophia. "James, perfect timing," Eleanor said. "This is Sophia Bennett, the young woman I told you about." "Sophia, my grandson, James Harrington." James's expression cooled noticeably. "Another candidate for your charity cases, grandmother?" Eleanor's eyes flashed with warning. "Sophia helped me home during the storm last week, expecting nothing in return. She works at a cafe to support her ill mother." Sophia felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment. Standing, she said, "I should go. Thank you for the tea, Eleanor." "Nonsense," Eleanor said firmly. "James was just leaving, weren't you, dear?" With a curt nod, James departed, leaving Sophia wondering what exactly she had walked into. The following week brought unexpected changes to Sophia's routine. First came a bouquet of sunflowers delivered to the cafe with a note of apology from James Harrington. Then an invitation to dinner, which Sophia initially declined. "You should go," her mother urged from her place on the sofa, where she spent most days now. "When was the last time you did something for yourself?" "Mom, he's clearly from another world. What would we even talk about?" Sophia protested. "You'll never know unless you try," her mother said with a knowing smile. Reluctantly, Sophia agreed to meet James at a restaurant downtown. Nothing too fancy, she'd insisted. When she arrived, she found him waiting at a table looking less polished. Then at their first meeting, dressed in jeans and a simple button-down shirt. "I appreciate you giving me a second chance," James said after they ordered. "My behavior was inexcusable." "Why did you react that way?" Sophia asked directly. James sighed, running a hand through his hair. "My grandmother has a habit of introducing me to young women she deems worthy. Most are just interested in the Harrington name and fortune." "And you thought I was one of them?" Sophia concluded, despite the fact that I had no idea who she was when I helped her. "I jumped to conclusions," James admitted. "I've learned to be cautious." As their meal progressed, Sophia discovered that beneath his privileged exterior, James harbored genuine passion for his work with the Harrington Foundation, which funded educational programs for underprivileged children. "I never wanted to just be the Harrington heir," he explained. "I wanted to do something meaningful with the resources I was born into." "That's admirable," Sophia said sincerely. "I've always wanted to teach, to make that kind of difference."
Why didn't you?
Sophia told him about her mother's illness, the mounting medical bills, and her deferred dreams. James listened without interruption, his expression softening with each word. Across town, Eleanor sat in her study reviewing reports when her housekeeper entered. "The investigator delivered his findings on Miss Bennett," she said, placing a folder on the desk. Eleanor waved it away. "I no longer need that. I can see who she is with my own eyes." "They've gone to dinner, you know," the housekeeper mentioned. Casually, Eleanor smiled. "Have they? How interesting. You planned this all along, didn't you?" the housekeeper asked, having served Eleanor long enough to recognize her schemes. "I simply recognized a good heart when I saw one," Eleanor replied. "The rest is up to them." 2 months passed, during which Sophia and James grew increasingly close. He began volunteering at the cafe's weekend literacy program, while she helped organize a fundraiser for the Harrington Foundation. To Sophia's surprise, her mother's health insurance suddenly covered experimental treatments previously deemed out of network, though James denied any involvement when asked. One evening, James invited Sophia to a charity gala hosted by the foundation. Despite her protests about not having anything suitable to wear, a package arrived the next day containing a midnight blue gown that fit her perfectly. "You look breathtaking," James whispered when he collected her. His eyes filled with an emotion Sophia dared not name yet. The gala was held at the Harrington estate, transforming the already impressive mansion into something magical with twinkling lights and floral arrangements. Sophia felt out of place among the wealthy attendees, but found comfort in James's steady presence beside her during a quiet moment. He led her to a secluded balcony overlooking the gardens. "I've never met anyone like you, Sophia," he said softly. "You've changed how I see the world." Just as he leaned in, they were interrupted by raised voices from a nearby room. Curiosity led them to an open door where Eleanor was arguing with a board member. "Your grandson is finally showing interest in settling down with a suitable young woman," the man was saying. "Exactly as you planned when you orchestrated that chance meeting during the storm." Sophia felt her blood turn cold. James tensed beside her. Planned, Sophia whispered, pulling away from James. She planned to get caught in the rain. To have. Me? Help her? Eleanor emerged from the room, stopping short when she saw them. Sophia, James, I can explain you set this up, James demanded, his voice tight with anger. Another one of your matchmaking schemes? Not exactly, Eleanor began. Did you know about this? Sophia asked James, tears threatening. Of course not, he said. But doubt had already crept into Sophia's mind. The insurance coverage for my mother, she said slowly. That was part of this too, wasn't it? A way to make me feel indebted? Sophia, please. James reached for her hand, but she pulled away. I thought what we had was real, she said, backing toward the door. I thought you saw me, not some charity case or part of your grandmother's plan, for either Harrington could respond. Sophia fled, tears blurring her vision as she ran from the mansion that suddenly felt like a beautiful prison of lies. The rain fell steadily as Sophia worked. Her shift at the cafe a week later, reminiscent of the night she'd first met Eleanor. She'd ignored countless calls and messages from James, returning the beautiful gown in a box with no note. You're going to wear a hole in that counter, Thomas commented, as Sophia wiped the same spot for the 5th time. Sorry, she murmured. Moving to the next table, the bell above the door chimed. Sophia looked up to find Eleanor standing there, without her usual driver or assistant. May I have a word? The elderly woman asked. Sophia wanted to refuse, but noticed how frail Eleanor suddenly appeared. 5 minutes, she conceded, leading her to a corner table. Did not plan our meeting in the rain, Eleanor began without preamble. But I did recognize an opportunity when it presented itself. So you admit you manipulated us, Sophia said coldly. I created an introduction, Eleanor corrected. What followed was entirely genuine. James hadn't truly smiled in years until he met you. Sophia remained silent, unwilling to let her heart soften. The truth is, Sophia, wealth has brought my family many things, but rarely happiness, Eleanor continued. I wanted better. For James, when I saw how you helped me without knowing who I was or what I could offer in return, I recognized something precious. Before Sophia could respond, the door opened again and James entered, soaked from the rain and looking as though he hadn't slept in days. Grandmother, what are you doing here? He asked, spotting them. Clearing up misunderstandings, Eleanor replied, standing. The rest is up to you two. As Eleanor departed, James approached Sophia's table hesitantly. May I? He gestured to the chair. Sophia nodded once. I didn't know about my grandmother's initial scheme, he said softly, but I did arrange your mother's insurance coverage. Not to buy your affection, but because I couldn't bear seeing you struggle when I could help. You should have told me, Sophia said. I know. Pride got in the way, yours and mine. James reached across the table, not quite touching her hand. The last 2 months have been the most authentic of my life. No one has ever challenged me, understood me, or accepted me the real me the way you have. How can I trust this is real? Sophia asked, her voice barely audible. From his pocket, James withdrew a folded paper. This is my resignation from the Harrington Foundation. I'm starting a new education nonprofit, focusing on adult learners who had to defer their dreams. I'd like you to run it with me. Sophia's eyes widened. You're walking away from your inheritance? I'm walking toward what matters, James corrected. My grandmother's schemes aside, she taught me one valuable lesson. True wealth isn't in bank accounts. It's in finding someone who would help a stranger in the rain, expecting nothing in return. Across the street, watching from her car, Eleanor smiled as she saw Sophia reach for James's hand. Home, Mrs. Harrington, her driver asked. Yes, Eleanor replied, content in the knowledge that her fortune had finally bought something worthwhile. A chance for her grandson to find happiness with. A woman whose kindness was her greatest wealth,